Hop on here. All right. We've got a great group today, so thank you so much for joining. Mara, if you want to hit record and get things started. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. On behalf of Salesforce and Innovative Solutions, I want to thank you all for joining today's webinar, which is around how Vanderbilt is transforming advancement with Marketing Cloud. Now, this webinar is actually targeted towards smaller and mid-sized universities. So we understand right up front that many of you might not have the resources to be the size of Vanderbilt. That's okay. Our goal is that you're walking away with vision and a roadmap to how you could begin this transformation, even though you might be smaller or have fewer resources than Vanderbilt University has. So we know your time is really valuable, so we have no doubt you'll find this valuable and walk away with some great next steps. So before getting started, I want to cover a couple of, let's go through our agenda and then we'll get started. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about housekeeping. There's always questions around how things are going to flow. We'll go through introductions of our panelists today. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to engage modern constituents in best practices and a platform for doing that, a la Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And then we're going to hand things over to our friends over at Vanderbilt University, Kate. And then we're going to talk about how you can begin transforming your experience. What's a roadmap look like? What are your options, whether you've started or not? Every great journey starts with a step, and we want to make sure that you have a vision and an opportunity to do that. And then we're going to dig in on the Q&A, which is always my favorite part of these webinars. Always, you never know what you're going to get, and always some great discussion points. So get those ready. And then we're actually going to give you an opportunity to start that journey. We're excited to partner with Salesforce here at Envato to work with our people attending today to give them a path forward. So housekeeping, you're muted to this session. If you have questions or concerns, if you have problems, send it to the chat. Our technical team on the back end will hopefully be able to address some of them. They're working hard to make sure everything goes smoothly. And then questions, keep them coming. That's the best part. There's a questions tab in GoToWebinar. Enter your questions there at any point in time. We're going to wait to the end though to cover those so that we can kind of keep the flow going and keep this succinct as possible. And then this is being recorded. So you will receive a copy of this. For those that have colleagues that weren't able to attend, they'll receive a copy of this. And of course, if any time you need additional information, you'll be able to reach out to us. We'll provide you with some info around that. So without further ado, let's get things started by some introductions. So my name is Christopher Dorn. I'm the CEO of Innovative Solutions. I'm based here in Austin, Texas. We are a Salesforce partner that focuses on working with marketers to drive demand and move the goals and drive advancement initiatives with the Salesforce platform. So it's great to meet you all. I'm gonna hand things over to Kate.
Hi, my name is Kate Parody, and I'm the Director of Marketing Technology over at Vanderbilt. I've been at Vanderbilt for 6 years now, and in my role for about 3 years coming up on, and we've had different iterations, just Director of Marketing Technology for the past year, but been on the journey with Marketing Cloud and Vanderbilt for the past 3 years. And then in a different capacity when I was at the business school and working with Christopher previously. And I'll kick it over to Daniel.
Awesome, thanks, Kate. So my name is Daniel Allen. I'm a Marketing Cloud account executive here at Salesforce. Been in the marketing engagement space for almost 10 years now, and I specialize in helping small and mid-sized institutions engage more effectively and in a more personalized fashion with their constituents.
Great. We really appreciate you guys joining today. So with that, we're gonna get things started by talking about what a modern engagement looks like with your constituents. And again, we understand everyone's on a journey, so you might be starting this journey, but I think it's great to understand what that looks like. So with that, I'm gonna hand things back over to Dan. We'll give a little bit of a walkthrough.
Awesome, thank you. So I wanted to set the stage first for really the focus of today's call. So first, we're gonna have your system of record. Now this, in Vanderbilt's case, is going to be Salesforce CRM, but the main point I'd like to make today is that it doesn't have to be. You can have Blackbaud. You could have really any system of record. That's where you're storing your constituents' data, their profiles, their hobbies and interests. We're today going to be talking about your system of engagement, in this case, Marketing Cloud. And the beauty of Marketing Cloud is that it is system and data agnostic. So even if you're not a Salesforce customer, Marketing Cloud can still be used to better engage and better personalize your communications with your constituents. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the three, I guess, major stages of engaging with constituents on this next slide. The first one is going to be brand centric. And you'll see by the graphic here, it's a huge audience. Everyone is just a gray little bubble. We don't know a ton about them. We don't personalize anything towards them. Really, the only thing consistent is just the messaging and the branding of your emails, logos, colors. The second one from there is going to be more audience centric. Now you'll see it's a much smaller group, but still, it's just a bunch of gray circles. We don't know a lot about them. We're not engaging with them on a personal level. So the messaging going to them is not going to be specific to what they actually are interested in. And then the final one, you'll see we have a persona, her name's Sophia. We're now finally at Sophia centric. And this is what Kate's going to be talking about here in a minute is it's a full color photo. We know everything about Sophia, her interests, her hobbies, everything she did while she was at the institution. And that is then used to engage with her in a personalized fashion, sending her the right message on the right channel at the right time, and really showing her that you know who she is as a person and want to engage in that way. Now, once we get to Sophia centric, which is obviously the goal, you'll see this is an average of Salesforce.org customers using Marketing Cloud in advancement. And I'll call out two of these in particular. The first one, my favorite, is alumni engagement, a 56% increase on average of alumni engagement when you have that automated, that personalized engagement with each and every constituent. The second one at the far other end is marketing campaign ROI. And this is always going to be important to advancement shops, making sure that if you're putting money into a marketing campaign, make sure you're getting the return. And by personalizing those campaigns, you're going to see that 45% increase on ROI on your marketing campaigns. With that, I will pass it over to hear how Vanderbilt does it.
Well, thanks, Dan. That's great info. Let's jump in and hear from Kate herself, who's been on this journey for a couple of years and has some great tidbits to share with y'all today. So, Kate, take it away.
Thank you, Christopher. Yes, so we are going to learn a little bit about Vanderbilt's journey today. And I know we called out the crawl, walk, run underneath our journey because we're still very much in the midst of our journey of implementing Marketing Cloud. And I feel like it's one of those things that continues to evolve and change no matter where you are. You have to start somewhere. So that's why we always talk about that crawl, walk, run. So a little bit about where we were 2 years ago. As we had our system of record was Advance for all of our alumni data, and then our email communication tool was Emma. And really the problem to solve was how do we get more unified and personalized communication and being able to look at scaling that and also start to augment that data. So really we decided to move to Salesforce CRM as our source of truth for alumni. We moved away from Advance and launched Salesforce, and we use the FinQuest managed package on our Salesforce instance, which is specific to alumni engagement and tracking everything you might need to for alumni. And then we implemented Marketing Cloud to enable the communication between CRM and Marketing Cloud and our constituents and start to track that engagement data in a more effective way, and then also use that to start to inform future segmentation efforts. So really the goals for this shift into our new architecture were to create more personalized engagement, improve our ability to segment audiences, and leverage A/B testing. And really leveraging A/B testing helps actually achieve those first two bullet points very nicely because you're constantly learning about your constituents. And then really the thing that we're working towards more and more is building that omni-channel constituent journey. So we're still very much in the email part of our journey, and I'll get to a little bit more about what's coming in future slides. So our architecture today is Salesforce is our source of truth for alumni, and it also holds necessary information needed to communicate with our constituents who are students, faculty, staff, donors, and parents. And that was a choice we made because we wanted to be able to scale our communications, and our alumni team and advancement team, we don't just speak to alumni. We're speaking to donors, we're talking to parents of students, and as you all know from working in advancement, there's a lot of different ways to talk to these groups, and you want to have the information you need, maybe not as robust as the alumni data, but there's different things we can track in terms of engagement with opens and emails, types of content, etc., that we're able to now see. Again, though, our systems are connected, Salesforce CRM and Marketing Cloud via the Marketing Cloud connector. But as Daniel mentioned, you do not necessarily have to connect Marketing Cloud to a system. You are able to load data into the system itself in Marketing Cloud. You can do that in a variety of different ways, and I'm sure Christopher and Daniel could cover that in much more depth. So I won't go too far into that. But Marketing Cloud basically now is Vanderbilt's system for communications that are internal communications, as well as we are moving our advancement communications. We have our direct response communications have all been moved over into Marketing Cloud, and we're continuing on our journey, as I said, crawl, walk, run. So we're moving additional areas such as alumni relations and engagement team for different chapters or other larger campaigns as we kind of go through that crawl, walk, run journey. So I'll go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about the fun stuff, which is what Marketing Cloud has actually enabled us to start doing. So again, moving away from that batch and blast email, just kind of, oh yeah, we need to send this email. Okay, quick, let's get a list. Let's try and send it to as many people, to now being more intentional when we're planning our campaigns. So the best example of this is our Giving Day that just happened in April. We were able to plan out the campaign and kind of about 3 months in advance. You know, we had been mapping things out before, and then work with the team, the direct response team, to actually map out journeys based on the different constituent types. So thinking about an alum versus an undergraduate student versus a parent, and how they might experience Giving Day and what that journey looked like for them. So that helped us improve our efficiency in terms of being able to build everything in advance, come up with what we wanted, what behaviors we wanted to look at as we were having people go through the journey. Had they already made a donation? Should they be exited from the journey? If they hadn't, should they continue forward? And then always kind of referencing that behavior was really helpful and helped us be very successful with Giving Day this past year. The other piece is we are able to do that real-time segmentation because we have Marketing Cloud connected to Salesforce CRM. We are able to augment the data model in Marketing Cloud in real time. If we had a couple experiments of audiences that were abroad and global that we're like, hey, you know what, we're going to try something new, and we're going to bring that information into our data model, looking at country, right, in a different way than maybe we had planned to, and we were able to do that within 20-30 minutes and build out an audience and draft up an email and send it out to them. We'll head to the next slide. So this is a little bit of the nitty-gritty behind the scenes of how we're able to help facilitate that move from batch and blast to journey-based campaigns and thinking about segmentation. So I tried to capture everything here. Sorry if it's a little bit small. I'm happy to answer questions about it at the end. But really thinking about which audiences. So we've got the student journey and we've got the alumni journey as an example here, and thinking about how do we take what the campaign plan looks like, map it in a way that then we can go into the Marketing Cloud side of Journey Builder and say, okay, this is this number one email, it's going to go at this time, it's going to send if there are any data loads, right? Even though we have a connected system, everything for us is still being integrated, right? Again, crawl, walk, run. So we didn't necessarily have a giving platform integrated directly into CRM. So we had to figure out how are we going to be able to use Journey Builder to facilitate that like real-time experience, but on the back end, think about any technical pieces we needed to do and work across teams to make that happen. I think that's another important call out is Marketing Cloud is not just a marketing tool. You have to work across IT, your advancement teams, and marketing communications to really make things work well together. So at the bottom, I have the fields we refer to as our decision splits in the journey to basically filter people out based on their behaviors. And we'll go to the next slide. And so a little bit about kind of the next steps on our Marketing Cloud journey is we have giving history is available to us. We're thinking about how we're going to segment off of that for our audiences, thinking about, you know, did someone give in the past 1 year? Did they give in the past 5 years? Potentially looking at amounts given, right? So you can really get into who's giving, when are they giving, how are they giving, and then what really going to that A/B testing we talked about before, what content is resonating with them and what communications are resonating with them. Another one we're going to be looking at as a reunion comes up for the fall is looking at past event attendance. You know, have the specific class that might be coming back, right, the class of 1980, to have the entire class, have they all attended reunion, or is there like a third, and a third? Maybe a third has attended, a third has attended a couple, and then another third has never attended. And thinking about how we start to build communications and journeys and do different decision splits and nodes of those journeys based on that information, which is available to us in CRM. And then the other piece is thinking about special interests and affinities, and this goes across kind of all different types of communications. You can think about different newsletters and thinking about what people are interested in if you want to build dynamic content to surface that off of what their interests are, and potentially maybe, you know, I really liked being part of the cooking club when I was at Vanderbilt, and that's something that would be surfaced at the top of my newsletter versus a friend of mine loves soccer and there's different events around soccer. That could be an attribute or an interest that is referenced to personalize our content. And then the other integrations we're continuing to look at for platforms and systems are event management, and then the giving platform, which I mentioned before, and then Mobile Studio, which is a part of Marketing Cloud. We have just not yet deployed it and pushed it live, but that allows you to text your constituents, add those text messages into the customer journeys as they are, and then also send push notifications. So that's where we're going, and we're excited to take those next steps to continue to do that segmentation. And I think, to me, this is my favorite slide and hopefully most valuable for you all in terms of like what we've learned at Vanderbilt along the way, so you can learn from our learnings and hopefully accelerate your implementation. So one thing that my team and I have found really, really important is understanding the processes in your organization as they relate to building campaigns, as they relate to building audiences, to, you know, either manipulating data or not. Is all the data available? Getting all of that on the front end will help you be a lot more effective in terms of planning what will come in and when it will come into Marketing Cloud, and then also how do you use Marketing Cloud to improve that process or experience. The next is set expectations, because there is a lot that Marketing Cloud can do. And when, especially, you know, leadership hears, hey, there's this really cool stuff we can do, you have to make sure you're set up to actually be able to do that and deliver on that and say, hey, you know, this is what we can do if we want to launch this right now. And then if we have another month or two, here's what could come next and how you roll it out. The other piece, kind of going with setting expectations, is thinking about change management and working with your team, your partners, your leadership to just make sure everyone is aligned and moving in the same direction. I think that really helps with implementation. And then the other piece of this would be hiring for the right skill sets for the right partner. So my team, we have a mix of like email development skill sets, marketing cloud management skill sets, more technical SQL skill sets, AMP scripting, and then also data analytics and insights, because if you're testing, you want to be evaluating what's working, what's not, and looking at those insights and data. And then the other would be to, I think I mentioned this before, work with internal partners. So I work with our IT department and our advancement team very regularly, and we have regular cadence of meetings and making sure that everyone is on the same page. If things are changing or being updated, everyone is aware and everyone has a seat at that table, because if your systems are connected, kind of that trickle down effect happens, right? If something changes in CRM, then you need to know about that so you can align the data model in Marketing Cloud, or if you're querying your data, if you are using that Marketing Cloud Connect package to make sure it's working. And then the other would be, this is just kind of a fun one, create a standardized naming convention. This really helps with reporting. So if you create a standardized naming convention from whichever area the email is coming from or the text might be coming from, and then you're able to kind of filter off of that naming convention for your reporting purposes, we found that to help speed up the process. And then the other piece of it is testing. Marketing Cloud is a very big system and change is hard. So you want to be able to build trust with your partners and be able to test and show them, you know, hey, we did this for Giving Day. We created a small test data extension and we did it for different populations. We did it for my team. We did it for a sub team in advancement, and we put them through a journey. We shortened the time that the journey was going to be sending, but they got, you know, 3 emails within the journey so that they were comfortable with knowing, hey, this is going to trigger, this is how it's going to look, this is when it's going to hit your inbox. So I think that is one of the testing and change management go hand in hand in terms of just building trust in the system, really, because it's a new big system. So now I'll hand it over to Christopher to talk a little bit more about how they can help accelerate these key learnings on your journey.
Thanks, Kate. Before we move forward, keep submitting those questions. We have a couple pouring in. Kate, you're definitely gonna get some people thinking. So yes, in the bottom right, just submit your questions there. We're gonna have a few minutes at the end to make sure we address those. So this is the point of the presentation where people are going, oh my gosh, how do we do that? I have a 2-person team. Kate's talking about technical, she's talking about IT, she's talking about testing, change management. How do we do this? Because you are a small, growing university. And that's why I want to introduce you to our agency. We're excited to partner with Salesforce to bring you a very interesting offering to get you started on that journey. So a little bit about Envato. We are a Salesforce partner that partners with higher ed institutions to drive enrollment and advancement goals. So we bring together marketing acumen as well as Salesforce technical skills to really drive change and help organizations with that transformation. As you can tell, there's a lot that goes into it, and we really specialize in that with our team. And so the way we do that is we are not only a Salesforce partner, but we're a full marketing agency as well to collaborate with partners and organizations around filling holes that they might not have. So on the technology front, we are Marketing Cloud and Salesforce experts as well as integration. We tackle all those challenges that are needed to move the organizations forward in their transformation and to drive ROI-based campaigns. But then we also tackle things like strategy, creative, developing awesome emails and landing pages that really get your audiences engaged. Our team comes from a B2C background, having worked with organizations like AARP and LinkedIn, really getting those emails in front of your audience to get them engaged. And the final piece that we want to introduce today is full execution. As you can tell, there's a lot of resources that go into this. we've actually partnered with Salesforce to bring an offering where Envato can actually partner with you to fill those holes on your team. You don't need a technical architect full-time, most likely, but you might need one on a part-time basis to get things going at different points in your growth and your life cycle. So we've worked with dozens and dozens of universities on their transformation. Vanderbilt's been a great partner for many, many years. As you can tell here, I'm not going to go through these. These are organizations that we've built long-term partnerships with in terms of driving change and driving ROI-based campaigns and helping with their technical infrastructure and campaign infrastructure to move the needle. So as you probably heard from Kate, there's a lot that goes into this. There's technical aspects, there's design, there's strategy. How do we segment? How do we go after our audiences? What are the audiences we should be going after? And how do we measure? To really drive advancement, you want to move the needle. Anytime you're investing in infrastructure and campaigns and design, it's purely an ROI-based decision. And we understand that the smaller and growing universities can't typically afford all that. So how do you start that journey to manage and stand up the implementation and run with that? So this is where we've partnered with Salesforce, doing what we call the Marketing Cloud Fast Track for Advancement. It's a 5-step process to drive campaigns that are moving the needle quickly, developing that, building that strategy out, and developing a hard-hitting impact to generate more revenue and engage your audience in a productive manner. So the first step of that journey is what we call a fast track assessment. We spend 4 hours with our strategy team and your team to really understand your goals, learn about your processes, learn about the team, and really walk away then with a plan that we put in front of you within 6 weeks, that here's how we're going to move the needle together, and here's a hard-hitting campaign that we've learned through 50 years of experience that will generate more advancement, engagement, and hopefully dollars. That's the ultimate goal. The next step, working with Salesforce, is actually standing up Marketing Cloud. It's a 10 to 12 week process. We put the core infrastructure, and even better, we're actually going to put and implement a hard-hitting, we're going to implement that campaign that we designed with you. All the creative, the content, we'll work with your team to put that all together and stand up that campaign. So you'll be running basically within 12 weeks. The next thing is we're going to train your existing team. You might not have all the pieces, that's okay, because what Envato typically does, and where we can bring this to your team, is we are actually able to offer a full team of a retainer-based engagement where we will fill those needs that you have until you decide it's time, like, hey, we are ready to hire more resources and bring more of this internally. Quite typically, we've found at different points in times, you might need 10 to 12 different skills. Envato will bring all those skills to the table and be able to partner with you, so you don't have to hire them until you are financially ready. And there's a need to bring those, and you might not need that until a year or two. That's okay. We're going to be driving that innovation, that constant change, because we've done this for decades on end. And that will be campaign development, implementing that segmentation. If technology challenges jump up, we're going to bring the right resources in. So we've had huge success with this, and we're really excited to roll it out with Salesforce to our small and mid-sized universities and folks that are attending today. So we partnered with Salesforce again to start this journey. As we kind of finish things up here and move into the QA, we're going to put our money and time where our mouth is here at Envato, and we are here to help you get a promotion and a raise, hopefully. So what we're going to do to everyone joining today is put together a complimentary strategy session with you to really understand where you're at and give you 3 to 5 nuggets on what this can look like to just get started. As Kate reiterated over and over again, this is not a destination, this is an ongoing process. And so what we're going to do is actually collaborate with your teams here and give you those nuggets. So the process, so we'll be reaching out in the coming weeks with our partners at Salesforce to see if you're interested in this process. If nothing else, you'll get 3 to 5 great ideas that we've found have worked with other universities. So if you decide to move in on that, take us up on this offer. We'll send you a questionnaire. We're actually going to ask you some questions to get to know your tech stack, your team, your metrics for success. And then we're going to put our heads together with our technology team and our head of strategy, and we'll come and meet with you for an hour, ask more questions, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, we're going to come back to you with, hey, here's where we think the greatest opportunity is for you in the short term. If we were to engage, or if you want to make change internally, that's fantastic. Here's the low-hanging fruit where you could drive more engagement and more donations. The goal here, again, is always ROI and making numbers-based decisions so that you're able to generate more donations. We're passionate, we're numbers-based, a numbers-based organization. So again, we'll be reaching out to everyone and making this offer available. If you're interested, again, if nothing else, you walk away with 3 to 5 great ideas, maybe more. We tend to get really engrossed and love what we do. So with that, we've got some great questions coming in, so do keep them coming. And we'll move on to the Q&A part of this presentation. All right, I'll take over here. We've got one, and Dan, this is going to come at you. Yep. So maybe to talk a little bit more, and I'll kind of reframe this about what is included in Marketing Cloud. The question was specifically, is Marketing Cloud have email capabilities? The obvious, the question is yes, but there's a lot more to it. So do you want to talk a little bit about what is in the platform, and then maybe Kate, if you want to talk about what you're using, and I think that would be a great place to start.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thank you. So yes, as you said, Christopher, Marketing Cloud definitely has email capabilities, but it's so much more than that. It's got the Journey Builder, which is that automation, that personalization using all of your contact and constituent data. It's got Mobile Studio, which, as Kate will probably talk about here, does SMS, it does mobile push notifications. If you have a mobile app, it can do in-app notifications. It integrates with social media advertising to do segmentation and target audiences. So it really is an omni-channel platform. And it's really, as Kate, I'm sure we'll talk about, a crawl, walk, run approach. Most institutions I work with do not go in and do every single one of them all at once. I usually don't even advise that, because it takes time to start building that and phasing that in. But yes, it can do email and a lot more.
Yes, yeah, to kind of speak to that, we didn't start with everything that was available, right, Daniel? We started in Email Studio. You can send one-off emails, right? That's how we started to become comfortable with it. How are we going to build out our templates, learning how to use content blocks? There's a lot of different ways you can customize the email, the look and feel, and then also training people is another piece of it. Who's going to be sending those emails, or who's going to be designing those emails is important before you can even get to that Journey Builder point, right? Because Journey Builder is taking that single send email that maybe you had 5 single sends that were part of a campaign, and actually instead of doing one-off, you put them into Journey Builder and say, okay, this is how I want this to flow over the next 2 weeks, and here's the wait times we want. So that's where we got into Journey Builder. We have not yet deployed Mobile Studio. We're looking at how that could be done. I think that will add in a completely new channel for our alumni that will be integrated in those journeys and increase ROI for sure, because not everybody wants an email. Some people expect to be texted, and how do we start to differentiate that for our constituents, going back to segmentation, and use those decision splits, as they're called in Journey Builder, to put people on the right path based on their behavior. But yes,
and just building on that, from a partner standpoint, when we're working with organizations, change management is a huge part of this. We could sit in a room and come up with awesome ideas, but is the organization ready for that? And that's why this journey component of your organization is absolutely critical. Meeting you where you're at, what you're ready for, and then moving the needle forward, right? Always kind of pushing that transformation. That's where we find most value in delivering to clients, is thinking about that. What's the organization look like? Here's what you're ready for. Here's how we can move the needle. As you can tell, sky's really the limit with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. It's more, okay, how do you begin? And that's really what we like to focus on when starting this conversation. Okay, another question. Kate, resourcing. Obviously, not everyone's like Vanderbilt. Talk a little bit about what your hiring has looked like, what your transformations looked like over 2 years.
Yep. So I started as a team of one. I was brought in to basically stand up the platform and connect it to Salesforce CRM and get things up and running. So that, honestly, I was in that role for a year, really starting to kind of do that behind the scenes stuff. I also too was learning the platform. You know, it's a big platform to learn. I had some experience with Pardot and Salesforce CRM prior, but Marketing Cloud is we like to say kind of, it's not a Toyota, it's more like a Ferrari, right? So you really need to start to dig in and learn. I did that for a year. Then I hired for a Marketing Cloud manager and then an email marketing manager. So thinking about how those two things come together in the platform. And so now we have senior email marketing cloud manager, an email marketing manager, and she actually, as I said, crawl, walk, run. She manages campaigns that are still going out of Emma, as well as helping us build capacity in Marketing Cloud as we continue to transition. And then we have a data and insights person on my team who is constantly looking at kind of how campaigns are performing, what are we learning about our constituents, what does that mean for the next campaign, and working across teams really to work with the advancement team to say, hey, here's what we're seeing. This is what we saw in terms of the basics like click to open rate, unsubscribe, bounce rate, keeping that data clean. As well as looking at engagement data, and then going into more the true advancement side in terms of using appeal codes and tracking donors and dollars as they relate to messages sent out of our system. So we can say this email accounted for, you know, X number of donors and X number of dollars. It fell within this point of the journey and had this level of engagement when the following had this level of engagement and maybe added, you know, incremental add of donors or not, right? Sometimes we see that. We just have been evaluating all of our giving day data and looking at, you know, what actually generated things. Was it what people expected? Was it later in the day? And making those decisions as we move into our new fiscal year to inform future campaigns. So we have a team. Myself, I'm more the technical person on the team in terms of like building out audiences, SQL, managing kind of the overarching connection between Marketing Cloud and CRM, and then jumping in and partnering with different areas and business units, such as having those conversations about giving platforms or event management platforms to think about how do we continue to build that integrated tech stack where we can see all the things we want to about our constituents. So we have a team of 4, including myself.
So it went from 1 to 4 in 2 years, basically.
In 3 years, yeah, because year 1 was just me. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So start small and then continuing that journey. What Kate, what kind of results have you seen as the next question? And I guess I'll build on that tactically, strategically, once you made this investment.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt made this decision.
So in terms of results, we've had really good, and this is kind of not directly related to using the system, but more moving into the system. We've had some really good strategic conversations around what alumni want, how we think about email as a tool, and also other channels as a tool as we start to think more about that omni-channel mindset. The results that we've seen specifically from being able to do reporting out of the system and tracking out of the system, this might be a silly thing, but one of the things I really enjoy is looking, because we have Marketing Cloud connected to CRM, we have something called individual email results or IER records, and basically Marketing Cloud writes back to CRM every time someone opens, clicks, or engages with an email sent out of the system. So and I'm sure lots of you might deal with this as well, people, I never got that email. And it's like, hold on, let me double check something and be like, oh, you might have gotten it already. And let's talk about, maybe you missed it. We can have that conversation. And then the other thing too is really looking at the engagement in terms of, as it's writing back to the system, what are people engaging with as we're sending out different emails? And then how are we going to start to use that information to inform future campaign strategy?
Great. Let's see. It seems like we'll take one or two more here, then we'll call it a day. It seems like a big leap from batch and blast to building journeys. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that looked like?
Yes, yeah, lots of planning. Kind of just the snapshots I had put in the slides of that, we call it our tactical doc for journeys. So basically, as you're putting in emails into that tactical doc, you can still be in that mindset of like, I'm going to send this email on this day at that time. But the way we've started to shift the mindset of people is, okay, but what audience is it going to? Is the audience the same? Because if the audience is the same, then we can start to think about this as a journey versus one-off. And so really being able to say, okay, who's your audience? What do you want them to do? Why are you messaging them? What's the right cadence? You know, that's something we're evaluating, going back to the earlier question about like results and return. What is the right number of emails that we should be sending people? We can start to look at that in journeys. We could even probably test that out of, hey, we're going to split this alumni audience into two, and we're going to send five messages in this journey versus 7 in the other. Do we start to see a difference in engagement? Really, it's just being able to map things out. I know one thing we struggle with is kind of just making sure we're getting things far enough in advance to be able to build those journeys out. So that's something, going back to expectation setting, if you're able to say, hey, we really want to try this and test out a journey. When can we start on getting that content? When can we start on thinking about that campaign? Because my team has found the earlier, the better, and really starting to involve yourselves in those conversations with different groups that are like, hey, you know, we're thinking about doing this in October. Well, it's July. It's a good time to have that conversation and ask them. The first question I always ask is, who's your audience? What are you trying to communicate? And like, what is the cadence of communication to move towards that journey life cycle?
Great. So planning.
Yes.
Last question. Organizationally, Kate, are you on the marketing team, IT team, or where do you sit? Where does this skill set sit?
So that's a great question. I sit in the marketing team and I report into our marketing communications team and specifically to our assistant vice chancellor of marketing. However, I work super regularly with IT because it's so relevant to everything that Marketing Cloud does. And in IT, that like there's an integrations team, and then also there's like the CRM team that complements the development and alumni relations CRM team. So we're constantly like messaging each other on Teams or having different meetings. We have weekly meetings together. If we haven't, you know, talked to each other on Teams a bunch already that week, we can kind of cover things. But really, that's the unique thing about marketing technology and Marketing Cloud in general, is that you see so many different areas of a university, and you kind of start to see how all the puzzle pieces fit together. And the more you can learn about how different areas work or the different information and how that might relate to overall what Marketing Cloud can do and facilitate, as well as how you think about building campaigns for something like Journey Builder, I think that will set you up for even more success.
Wonderful. Well, Kate, thank you so much for sharing your time with everyone. We really appreciate everyone sharing their day. So again, on behalf of Salesforce and Nevada, I want to thank you. To learn more about Salesforce, obviously visit salesforce.com and envato-solutions.com. You'll be hearing from myself and Salesforce in the coming days if you were interested in taking advantage of the journey and the complimentary consulting session we're offering to all the attendees today. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate your time and we wish you a great day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.